And now on the Two Murrays, Strata Matters with Stephen Brell for the Strata Community Association, New South Wales, the peak body representing the strata industry.
Stephen Brell is back with us from the Strata Community Association. He's here to help you out with anything that is strata related. And it's quite frightening when you think about the amount of people that are going to be living in that environment in the years to come. And
What do you mean frightening?
Well,
I'm living in it now.
I know you're living in it now, but I mean, as you know, it's a path that not everybody has been down before, and there's roadblocks and speed humps, and there's lefts and right turns, and everything else, and a lot of dead ends. So 131873 is the number if you want to have a chat to him, and he's joining us. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm fantastic, guys. How are you?
Afternoon,
good,
Stephen.
real good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Look, New South Wales, and I'm sure Queensland is the same, but particularly in Sydney, maybe the same in Brisbane as well, parts of Brisbane, certainly parts of Sydney, the state government here in New South Wales is hell-bent, determined. They're not going to go out anymore. They're not going to expand out into the suburbs anymore, greenfield sites. They're going to look at backfilling existing suburbs. And there's Chris Minns, the New South Wales Premier, has made it very... He said, I don't want any NIMBYs, not interested in NIMBYs. This is going to happen. We're going to put this new development along main trunk lines, metro rail, heavy rail roads. This is the way of the future.
No, absolutely. It's something which I mentioned a few weeks back where, Sydney has a problem in the fact that it's pretty much landlocked. So we've got national parks to the north, national parks to the south, mountains to the west and ocean to the east. So the only way to go is up. So, yeah.
So, I mean, that's just a policy the government has decided on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the state government certainly recognises that strata is going to play a very important role in housing Sydney in particular and other parts of New South Wales. So that's the reason why they are really focused on it, and the reason why we're seeing much higher density properties and taller properties being planned for all over Sydney.
There was a very significant announcement in terms of North Parramatta just this week gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there's a few new towers out there that are going to be nudging 60 stories.
That's right.
And there's a few more planned for Willoughby and St Leonards and all around.
David Borgia, who's the king of Sydney's West, he is over the moon. He said, you know what, this is going to be great for local business, for the local economy, restaurants and so on, and it's going to be on the new metro line. So it's going to be. What, 10,000 apartments, I think he said? Yeah,
it'll be something along those lines. And to your point, they are planning a lot of these along the rail corridors and where the existing public transport is. I was listening on the way in, and you were talking about, can the infrastructure cope with all of these?
Well, that's my argument.
That was Muzz's query.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what it's like travelling on Sydney's roads now.
Yep.
It is just horrendous.
Yeah.
And I think about where I live, and you look at the road that goes in and out of Glenorrhea and up that way. It's it's two lanes.
Yeah, no, that's right.
It's one in, one out, and there's no room on either side to expand. So
lots of
what do you do in areas like that?
Yeah,
lots of paddocks out there, lots of vast estates as well.
Don't even be coming out there. Don't even come out there.
NIMBY. I'm going to send Chris Minns your address.
No, you won't. You won't.
Minns is going to be out there with the planning minister Scully be knocking on your door.
I think if you were going to start with a blank piece of land and you're going to say we're going to build units and there's going to be 10,000 of them, you'd be building 4-lane highways to get people in and out.
Yeah, no,
and there wouldn't be an issue with it.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this is one of the problems, the legacy problems that Sydney has, is that it was never planned properly.
No.
And so we've, forevermore just been sort of tacking things on as we go. So when you do go out west, though, out to some of the other areas like Macquarie Park and so forth, they're actually very well planned.
Sure.
Yeah.
Angela makes a point that I'm sure is shared by many, many people. Thank you for the text message, Angela. The government, she says, doesn't really care about us and how many people are living in Sydney, Australia. And I'm sure this is being said about Melbourne, about Brisbane, about Perth and so on. Our standard of living is going to go backwards. There's not enough water, housing, hospitals, schools, and they still are going to bring people in.
And this is the argument.
But you can't. You can't just pull the doona up over your head.
Well, what are you meant to do? You're full.
You're not full.
What do you do when all the seats are full in the theatre? What are you going to double stack? But you can go and sit on that person's lap. You go and sit on that person's lap.
Last night.
I can imagine at your show that you went to. You can't double stack people in a picture theatre. At some point in time, you've got to say, I'm sorry, but we're full. We're absolutely chock-a-block. Can I just ask you one other thing? There was results of a survey that were done today by Compare the Market, which is, I think, they look at all the different interest rates and things like that for people when they want to, buy things in a variety of areas. But they've said that 12% of Aussies are now behind on their mortgage repayments, and that is as of August. it seems that with the interest rate rise that will probably occur next Tuesday, it's going to put enormous pressure on homeowners, and it's normally the millennials and the Gen X that are really feeling the pinch on this. New South Wales leading the charge in regards to people that are struggling.
Yep.
There'll be people struggling that live in strata.
There will be, for sure.
And the mortgage repayment's going to be the first thing that they need to pay because the banks will come and knock on the door and close down. Are you going to see down the track even more and more people defaulting in regards to paying strata fees?
Yeah, we likely will. I mean, look, and this is something that was very interesting. A couple of weeks back, I attended a forum that was put on by the new Strata and Property Commissioner, John Minns, no relation to Chris, which is all about debt collection in strata properties.
Yeah.
And it was a few really interesting tips that were coming from the legal aid centres and justice types, which was, if you are going to find yourself in default with your mortgage, the best thing for you to do is to contact your bank, try and negotiate with them. And there are other programs which are available for people that do find themselves in financial hardship. So I did mention this a couple of weeks ago, but there's the Home Equity Access Scheme, which is a program which is designed particularly for seniors. I know that you just mentioned that there was millennials and Gen X that are going to be struggling. However, that's something which is available for pensioners. And there's also the National Debt Hotline, which is a free service, and they provide financial planning for people to help them get out of the whatever debt struggles they might be having.
Sorry, can I just ask one thing? The problem you find in a strata environment, and the ones that I know of and people that live in there, if you've got a problem with your mortgage, you can pick up the phone and ring the bank, and it's all highly confidential. You start telling the strata managers or the body corporate or whatever we're calling them now, listen, I'm not going to be able to open a strata fee. All of a sudden, everybody in the bloody complex knows about it because no one can keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's like, you can't have a private conversation or a confidential conversation.
No, that's right.
There's that fear that everybody's going to know.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the things that we looked at, which is a flaw in the New South Wales system, which is at the moment, if you do want to approach your owner's corporation for hardship relief, you do need to announce it to the world and say, hey, I can't afford my strata levies at the moment. Right. So that's something which we are looking at changing with the government on that particular regulation.
131873 is our telephone number. Stephen Brell is our special guest from the Strata Community Association. You might want to give us a call. You may have a query. And indeed, Nicholas is joining us. Wants to talk about just the very topic we've been on. G'day, Nicholas.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen. Look, I think that the Minns government is on a road towards pursuing policies that are dead against suburban development. And it's more than just a building exercise or an exercise in planning in relation to housing. It's an ideological struggle between those that want to see Sydney build up along, say, railway corridors, high-rise, as against suburban development. And there's an ideological rift. I think this is a policy where the explicitly or implicitly is against suburban development because certain ideologues within the Minns government, and particularly it comes across through the Sydney Council, is that they are dead set against further development of suburban areas, okay, because they see this as an ideological and political threat to themselves. And I see this as a political conflict. I don't know what other people may think of this, but I'm sure that there are bureaucrats within the Minns government and certainly within the Sydney Council, the Sydney Council, that see suburban development as a foundation stone for conservative people who want to acquire a single-storey house in the suburbs as opposed to a unit block along a corridor of a New York-style nightmare.
But that's the thing. Thank you for the call, Nicholas. That's the thing that Minns is talking about, because we can't keep moving ever further, for example, west, because there's, you need to have people living not too far from where they're going to work, where they're going to go to school. So that's why they want to start infilling back in towards the city, because you're going to have to supply all sorts of brand new infrastructure when they're out there. Yes, I understand that argument that's getting made, Steve, that hospitals are chock-a-block. The point that Muzz made before, schools are full of demountables now because you can't keep pace building. Isn't that the price of progress?
Well, that's not progress. What, socially that's progress?
I'm not saying socially that, but you can't just pull the doona up.
No, but
Nor can you keep on moving ever further out, trying to supply services, power,
the services
sewage,
we've
blah,
got
blah,
in the
blah.
city now don't actually cater for the people that are living there now.
Yes, they do. What
No,
are
they
you talking
don't.
about?
They don't. The wait lists in hospitals and schools, the pressure on schools. I mean, they can't cater for them now.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
I disagree with you. Totally disagree.
So is Nicholas right? Is this an ideologue's paradise for the Labor government?
No, I think it's just a matter of where the infrastructure is already. So building infrastructure is very, very costly, obviously, but improving what you currently have is a lot cheaper than actually trying to build something new. So that's part of the reason why their strategy is to build along the rail corridor and encourage people to use the public transport systems. It is a challenge.
Well, if they're going to infill in the lower North Shore, as an example, right? Okay, that's great. But increase North Shore Hospital by 300 beds. Okay, that's fine, but go up 3 or 4 more stories on North Shore Hospital, employ some more doctors, employ some more nurses. Yep, we're okay, we're good.
Where are you going to find the doctors and nurses?
Well, hang on a minute. What are you doing? Arguing with yourself now? You should just do the show on your own and maybe ring yourself up.
Let's go to
Look,
Mark.
I've got Murray on the line. Hello, Murray.
I think it's a great idea, Murray. Mark from Botany's joining us. G'day, mate.
Oh, g'day, gents. Hope you're enjoying the afternoon. I am.
Oh,
really
good
enjoying
stuff.
the show.
Thank you. Now, you've got a query for Stephen. Tell us about it.
Yeah, just looking for a little bit of advice. In a strata complex in Botany, there's 10 townhouses. We're in the process of sourcing a new roof because the current roof, some of the townhouses are letting water in. And we've got a bit of a deadlock in terms of some of the quotes that have come in. Where there's 5 supporting one particular quote and there's 5 supporting another one, which is a little bit cheaper. Just wondering, in a strata arrangement, what are our options and where do we go from here if we can't get agreement and we're still split 50-50?
Yeah, it's a dilemma, no doubt.
Very common one too, Steve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, the first thing that I would be doing, Mark, is breaking down the quotes and actually are you comparing apples with apples? Because often it's one of the biggest mistakes that I think owners corporations make is that they will just get 2 quotes for something and don't necessarily understand what is in the quote and how detailed the quotes are. So if you're doing a roof, it's going to be a fairly significant job. Do you have a project manager who's looking after the job for you? Or?
Yes, it's the strata manager that's gone out to seek the quotes, and I've actually gone out to seek a quote myself, and the quote that I've actually sourced is a lot cheaper than what the strata manager's been able to source.
Yeah, okay. So again, it comes back to what the scope is and what's actually being done within the works. I would encourage you to use, within our association, we do have a number of roofing companies who are members of our association. Yeah. And the reason why I'm recommending them is that they understand what, what's required within a strata environment. Whoever you're getting tenders from, they will also need to adhere to this new legislation, which is called the Design Building Practitioners Act. So you'll need to make sure that all of those boxes are ticked before you proceed. So what we're finding at the moment, because this legislation is new, there are some contractors who aren't aware of it, and they're not aware of what their liability and responsibility is in adhering to that act.
Okay.
So, yep.
All right, good on, Mark. I hope that answers your question.
And not an uncommon query either.
Yep. No, not at all.
But the size of quotes. And here's a good one too from Tommy. To get an annual fire safety statement, does the strata manager have to check inside every single unit to ensure it's got a smoke alarm? Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that's actually a very interesting point, that one. Wow. So there's new legislation which is coming out in 2025, which requires all buildings that require an annual fire safety statement, they now must be inspected to an Australian standard 1851. Now, previously it was up to the fire contractor to determine how they inspected the property, and because no 2 contractors would think alike, there was a lot of misapprehension in the market about who was doing what. So they've said, right, we're drawing a line in the sand. Everyone's got to inspect to 1851. Right. And so now it will be, yes, you going to have to get access to every single apartment to do your annual fire safety check every year and check all the fire apparatus.
Man, so you've just got to make sure, make appointments, you've got to be home, we're coming around,
Yes,
we'll have a look.
Exactly right, yeah.
It's a boom business.
It is, yeah.
You're telling me, how do you get on that little chuck wagon?
You can get some of your staff who aren't employed slaughtering beavers to go ahead and start a fire inspection business.
Yeah, good. I could do that at night time.
Yeah, it's and this is where the skill of either your building manager or your strata manager will come into play, because to your point, we do need to get access to all the lots, and so that's where we need all the resident details.
Okay, all righty. Stay with us. Stephen Brell is joining us in the studio, and of course from the Strata Community Association. Got any questions for Stephen? 131873. That is the telephone number. It's 2 Murray's on a Sunday afternoon on 2GB in Sydney and 4BC in Brisbane. Do not go away.
This is Strata Matters for the Strata Community Association New South Wales, the peak body representing the strata industry.
Okay, on line 3, Steve Brell is our special guest from the Strata Community Association. Karen from Bankstown's joining us. Been there the longest. Hi, Karen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you going?
Pretty well, thanks. How can we help?
Okay, so I live in a strata complex of 14. They're all owned. 7 are rented by the owner, and I own mine. I'm the secretary on the committee. We have a problem with one of the owners of the units who is doing some work in his bathroom, and he hasn't applied to the strata with the new rules to have anything done. He's jackhammering up his floor and shower base, and the lady that's on the committee with me, she's been monitoring what's been going on and has spoken to him that he needs to stop work and apply to the strata to get the work done, but it has to be approved first. And he is refusing to do it, has become quite aggressive towards her. When she met him the other day, she has then gone to our strata, New South Wales strata, and applied for an NCAT injunction so that there will be a tribunal meeting on the 1st of December. I need to know, because she doesn't know, what happens at the tribunal. What happens if he just keeps continuing to do the renovations without proper application to strata?
Yeah, what I was actually going to say there, Karen, when you apply to the tribunal, you can apply for something which is called an interim order. Now, what that is, it's basically a stop work order that would be imposed upon him to say, right, please stop the work until we can get the proper approvals going.
Done, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you said your hearings, though, on the 1st of December, that's not an interim order, because an interim order they normally hand down in a few days, because, the regulators understand that people can't be doing works if they're not approved in your apartment. So you might want to go back to NCAT and just ask for an interim order, which will be a stop work on it, and then you'll then proceed to your tribunal hearing on the 1st of December. And what will happen there is the tribunal will likely ask the owner for what they're doing and, ask why they didn't actually seek the proper approvals, because to your point, in our New South Wales strata legislation, there are 2 pieces. They're called minor renovation bylaws and also major renovation bylaws, and you're 100% correct. An owner must get permission before they do anything along those lines.
I didn't even. Okay. I mean, why is that? Why can't you put a new bathroom and not get? I mean, why do you need approval from the other 13 people living in your block?
Largely because if you're renovating your bathroom,
I just do it and not tell them.
Yeah, sounds like Murray's in the. In Karen's apartment here. No. The reason being is that the floor of your bathroom, because it's waterproofed and forms part of the common property, right, you need permission from the owners. So if you were just pulling the tiles off your walls and that sort of thing, that's fine, right? But if you're waterproofing your bathroom floor, from what Karen said, this owner's jackhammering up the floor. Yeah. So by the sounds of it, he's penetrating and doing something in there. Yeah. So
what about if you live in a villa?
Same deal.
Even if you're in an independent house in a villa, you got to check with Mary and Bill on either side and everybody else.
Yeah, look, 99 times out of 100, people are going to say, yes, you can go ahead, because what will happen is when you renovate your bathroom, you will then take responsibility for all the repairs.
Okay, all right.
I hope that helps, Karen.
Let's take some calls.
131873. Jennifer from Hurstville is on line 5. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good, thanks. What's your query this afternoon?
Okay, so I've got an investment property. It is part of 7 villas out in Sydney's west. Okay, so 5 of the villas are owner-occupied. The strata is run by owner committee. but one family owns 3 of the villas, and one of the family members is Strata president, and one of the other owner-occupiers is the secretary-treasurer. So the owners seem to have a monopoly over the strata in terms of percentage when it comes to voting. But every time I require repairs, they seem to take months to do them, sometimes up to a year. And when I send them an email, I might not hear from them for over a month.
That's not good enough.
Sorry?
That's not good enough.
Yeah, well, I've taken them to NCAT before to have repairs performed, and they have fixed what was required. I'm just not sure if they are looking after themselves, meaning just the owner-occupiers and making the investors less of a priority. And I'm not sure what to do. Do I take them back to NCAT, or is there any way I can force them to move strata responsibilities to a third neutral party company?
Yeah, there is. So there's a few things that you can do here. Jennifer, first of all, regardless of what the voting block is within your strata title property, they still need to administer the scheme in accordance with what the legislation says, and they need to treat everyone equally when it comes to their repairs and maintenance and other things. If you're finding, or if you're concerned that the owners might be, let's say, doing things for themselves or not getting proper quotes and that sort of thing, you can ask for the accounts of your scheme to be audited. And to that last point, yes, you can ask for what's called a compulsory appointment, and that's where the administration of the property is taken away from the owners and put into the hands of a strata manager who will then run the building independently for you.
Right.
And you do that through NCAT, as you say.
Is that common?
It does happen from time to time, yes, because regrettably we do have, it does happen in strata blocks where you'll get a cabal or a fiefdom together and they'll just want to run the scheme the way that they want to run it. And again, all owners' corporations have an obligation to manage and administer their scheme equally for everyone.
A query here too from Michelle. Thank you for the text, Michelle. What stops builders kicking back to strata managers? Strata managers may be favouring one builder, who they might be mates with.
This is a really common, let's say, misapprehension out there in strata land. Strata managers are not allowed to take kickbacks or commissions from builders, plumbers, or anyone else for that matter.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to rob banks either.
That's right. Yeah, and if they do, we can lose our licence. What I did encourage this last week, one thing which our association does, we have a professional standard scheme that we need to adhere to. Yep. So if your listeners or anyone out there is suspecting that their strata manager is taking kickbacks from a contractor, please get in contact with us, and you can file a professional standard complaint, and we will investigate that for you.
I think a lot of that actually is the assumption that a lot of people make because there's a very much a lack of transparency in regards to some of those committees. And they keep everything tight amongst 4 or 5 people, and then all of a sudden everybody else in the complex finds out about it, and they go, "Oh, what's going on here?"
Yeah, that's right.
If they had everything on the table and just spoke openly about what was going on, I don't think there would be as many issues as what you think.
No, that's right. And look, strata law actually allows for that. So before a committee makes a decision, they have to let all the other owners know what they're doing, and send out a detailed agenda and let them know what's going on. But you're right. Regrettably, there are some committees who do try and keep it tight, and they're not following the rules as they should.
Do you know what he said? I'm right.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Did you hear what he said? I'm right.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, he'll say the same thing to me, won't you, Steve? Because a lot of times people can't be bothered.
No, you're wrong. He didn't say right. He just said absolutely.
I'm sure I can persuade him to say you're right.
131873.
You're both right. How's that?
Hey, we're both right. 131873. We're going to take a very short break.
Yes.
All right, we'll come back. Stephen Brell is with us. He's taking your calls on 131873. Strata Community Association. All right. Anything in regards to strata living, he is the man to talk to, and you can call him on 131873.
Yes, this is the Two Matters and Stephen Brell with us. Chris is joining us this afternoon from Lilyfield. Hi, Chris.
Hi there. I just wanted to add to the comment from the gentleman who had about, I think it was 10 townhouses or something in Botany, where he was trying to get 2 quotes compared, and you, Stephen, said, make sure you've got everything line item so that you can actually compare apples with apples. But another point that I ran into not too long ago was that there seems to be a difference in the way these buildings used to be constructed. And if that building's been up there for a while, it may be they've got a common roof space where you can stand at one end of the complex and look down the whole roof, the whole area underneath the roof above the apartment ceilings. And that's now apparently not legal. they all have to be separately fireproofed all the way from the roofing material all the way down to the ground through each apartment. And so there's an important fire resistance problem that has to be maintained there as well, is what I was told, and we had to do recently on another building.
Yeah, no, Chris, you're 100% right. So obviously fire safety and the safety and protection of property is paramount when owners are looking at doing major renovations. And you are right, there has to be that fire separation between each roof cavity and between each apartment or townhouse in this particular example. But no, that's 100% correct.
Thank you for the call, Chris. Sandy joining us too. This must be an exceptionally common issue. G'day, Sandy.
Oh, hello. Sorry.
Not at all, darling. What's your problem?
My problem is I go to visit my son who lives in a gated community at Breakfast Point, and I go to mind his little 2-year-old so he and his wife can go out on the odd occasion. But because I stay overnight, the Strata people send me letters saying I'm not allowed to do it and I could be fined for $1,100, etc. We park in the visitors' parking area.
Yeah, look.
How is this?
No, look, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Sandy. You are defined as a visitor, so you're allowed to park in the visitors' parking. Now, the one thing I would say is you may need to check the particular visitor parking bylaw where your son's complex is, because there may be a time limit on how long visitors might be able to use the visitor parking spot. How generally speaking, if you're parking there overnight, it shouldn't be an issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a very common problem. I hope that helps, Sandy. That's got to be a very, very common problem. To Brisbane we go. Paul is on the line. G'day, Paul.
G'day, guys. I don't know how it varies up here to down there, but our body corporate has a manager, and they get paid, of course, to do all the jobs and get the insurance quotes in.
Yes.
It's a block of 6-story block with 12 units in it. They came up with quotes that were $60 apart, which seemed pretty too close to me. And the body corporate manager gets almost $2,600 commission out of that.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is. Look, strata managers or building managers taking insurance commissions is a common practice that occurs in our sector.
Right.
And it's something which it is under review, particularly in New South Wales and nationally, to make this process far more transparent. So our laws down in New South Wales are a little bit different. So we have to disclose at our annual general meeting what fees and commissions we get. And that's about to change. There's a new... The National Insurance Brokers Association has a new code of conduct, which starts, I believe, 30 November, where they have to disclose to their clients what their fees and charges are, including what remuneration they pay to strata managers.
Oh,
and again,
I mean,
absolutely.
You used to buy, you go and get mortgages through people, or you get insurance through people, and they would get a commission.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And I think there was a thing many years ago called rolling commissions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So even if you had nothing to do with that finance broker, 10 years later, but you still had the policy that you took out with him, he was still getting commission off that.
Yeah, was it rolling or trailing commission?
Could it be?
Yeah, it was a trailing commission.
Trailing commission. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
But do that.
What?
Not bad.
Man, we're in the wrong job. You could just, 131873.
Kerry here, thank you for your query. So we, as pensioners, if we sell up our family house and move into a townhouse, do we still have to pay strata fees and get permission to get repairs carried out?
The short answer is yes.
Wow.
Yes, you do. So,
there you go, Kerry. Thank you.
How are you going with your infilling? How's this going to work?
Infilling's going to be fine.
That'll be fine.
Lucy from Summerhill, very interesting. Hi, Stephen. What do the stratas do when a unit is permanently vacant and there's no agent? The owners, we're told, live in China.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. It's actually quite a common occurrence here in Sydney. So overseas buyers will buy apartments and then just leave them vacant. One of the requirements in the law is in New South Wales is that we must have an Australian address for service of notice. Right. So if you need to track down the owner for whatever reason, there should be a place to go. The other thing which I'd recommend there would also, when this property was purchased, there would have been a conveyancer or a solicitor who would have acted on that purchaser's behalf.
Right.
I'd actually go back to them and try and find and get the connection to the apartment owner that way.
So what do you do? What would you do in a strata situation like that if, I don't know, let's say hypothetically, more than 50% of the units are vacant? What happens when you have an AGM and you need to go to a vote?
Well, there's multiple ways for owners to vote, and now with since the pandemic, with the advent of Zoom and Zoom meetings, and that
But what
sort
if
of
they
thing.
don't care? What if they are overseas and they couldn't give a
again,
continental?
regrettably, apathy is one of the great enemies of Strata, and a lot of people don't like participating.
Yep.
However, one of the great benefits of the pandemic is we're now having Strata meetings. Most Strata managers are conducting them like a hybrid style meeting, so in person and people zooming in, and we're getting participation from people all around the world, which is it's actually brought people closer together.
Okay, all right. Yep. Now where are we off to? Meadow
We're
Flat.
off to Mia. Hello, Mia. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How can we help?
Yeah, look, I'm in a community title. I'm in the committee, and there's three of us, and we had voted at the last AGM that we would update the management statement or the bylaws in accordance with the new act that has come in. But now the other two on the committee say they don't want to do it. They don't want to go to the expense. And I'm just concerned about what we're leaving ourselves open to by not updating our bylaws in accordance with the new act.
Yeah, well, again, under the community title legislation, which is a parallel legislation that runs alongside Strata, yes, that you're right. That act did change a couple of years ago, and there was an obligation there for all community title properties to review their bylaws.
Right.
So the risk you run is, if someone comes in to buy into your premises and they see that the bylaws haven't been updated, that might be something that puts them off. So my recommendation is for the few $100s that it's going to cost you to update your bylaws or review your bylaws, it's money well spent.
Is that just a solicitor's fee?
It is, yes. So what happens is, same thing happened in Strata legislation 2015 when that act was changed. The government said, look, can everyone go through and review your bylaws? Just make sure that they're keeping up with the times.
Yep.
And they encourage people to consolidate their bylaws, re-register them, so there was a new set. So yes, you're right. You'd normally have a solicitor review them for you, and owners approve them, and then you just register them on title, and away you go.
And if somebody lives in the block and they're a solicitor, are they? No, I'm just saying. Can they get them to do it as well?
Yeah, they could do it.
They could. Okay, so you could save the Strata some money at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, please.
Yeah.
You know many solicitors?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
I hope that helps me. Yeah?
Yes, very much so. 11 minutes away from news time. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back with some more calls. Stephen Brell is with us from Strata Community Association. Righto, Stephen Brell's with us from Strata Community Association. Listen, before you go, we're going to take some more calls, but I just thought I'd ask you, if anybody wants to contact you after the program or give the association a call, what's the best way for them to do that? Yeah,
best way is just ring the office, 9492 8200. That's in New South Wales. And I thought I'd mention, last week we got a lot of phone calls from Queensland, and Strata Community Association, we do have offices in all states and territories.
Yes.
So if you're up in Queensland or ACT or Victoria, we've got a local branch in your particular state that you can contact.
You know what I'd love to know next week, if you can do it, is if we've got a rule here in New South Wales, it'd be interesting to see what the rule is in Queensland, because you said they're not the same.
Exactly, there are subtle differences.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic if you had a few examples, if they're really diverse differences in the rules. Where are we going, Muzzer?
Patrick's on the line from Gladesville. G'day, Pat.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'd like to ask Stephen a question about if no one wants to be on the Strata Committee at an AGM because everyone's too busy, does it then go to the Strata manager holding the positions of chairman, treasurer, and secretary? Is that correct? They had a fee, obviously.
Yeah, it does. So every owners corporation or body corporate, the Act says that you must elect a Strata committee. However, it then goes on to say that if no one volunteers, the owners can put all of those roles, i.e. the secretary, treasurer, chairperson, into the hands of a Strata manager, and they can fulfil that role on your behalf. And you wouldn't. It's not an uncommon practice, because, Patrick, to your point, there are a lot of owners out there. They're interested in their property, but they haven't got time to actively participate. So they're more than willing to hand over that responsibility to a Strata manager
until they come home and their unit's been painted pink.
There you go.
Not quite.
Let's go to Patricia as well from Holland Park West in Queensland. G'day, Patricia.
Yes.
How can we help?
My problem is that there's a communal service pipe runs from the 14th floor down to the ground, takes away waste. It developed a leak in the pipe that goes from there to my unit, and caused a horrible smell right through my unit. Anyway, the plumber came, and he had to take the wall down in the bathroom to get at it. All right? And I got a bill for $880. And also, he didn't have any drainage equipment with him, so he actually went out and bought some and charged me for it. Now, as that's a communal pipe and it's not in my unit, as I say, he had to take the wall off. Am I responsible for that?
No, Patricia, I'll ask, who actually organised the plumber? Did you organise it, or did your body corporate or strata manager organise it?
Well, he has a plumber that does all the work in this building.
Yep.
He's his mate.
Yep.
And he came in and did it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound right at all. If it's a communal pipe, yes, they should be paying.
Cost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shared cost. That's why you pay strata fees, is for things like
I've
this.
got a job for you.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Dad.
That doesn't sound right at all. So,
but look, that's
again, Patricia.
She's Queensland, though.
Yeah, exactly right. What Stephen is saying, you got to call your local authority there, because that does not sound right. It's a common pipe.
Yep.
It's a common cost.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look at you. Look at you go.
But listen, a lot of people here are saying Sydney's full. We can't,
Yeah, you're right.
We don't want to live in high rise. We want freestanding homes and gardens. Some of the kids to play.
We're full.
We're not full.
No entry. We're full. Come back next year. When there'll be a different session. Listen, great to see you. We could talk about this stuff all day. And as you said, more and more people are entering that strata environment, and people are getting older, and people haven't got as much time as they used to have. And it's going to be a bit of a runaway train, isn't it, at some stage?
No, it is. And I mean, look, I keep saying this, our industry is literally going to double in the next 2 decades. So anyone out there who is thinking about a career in strata management or in the strata sector, please give us a ring, because one thing that we do is we're trying to train the future generations of strata managers as well. And if you read, if you look at the developments that are going on, we are not talking about, little 3-story walk-ups anymore.
No,
we're talking about very sophisticated developments that need skilled professionals to run them.
Mate, good to see you, and we will we'll catch up next week. But Strata Committee New South Wales, you can Google that up or give Stephen and his team a call on 9492 8200. All right, they'll be able to help you out.
Indeed.
No worries.
Good to see you.
Thank you, gentlemen.